Knudsen to explore the crossroads of horses and business. Now here's your host, Scott Knudsen.
Hello and welcome to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen. Thank you so much for joining us today, whether you're watching us on our podcast on one of our many platforms or listening to us on the radio on NBC in California on our great affiliate, KCAA. Welcome to the show, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Cowboy Entrepreneur. Today we have a very special guest with us, Executive Director of the United States Team Penning Association, Cody Wood. Cody, welcome to the show.
Well, hey, Scott, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Man, I'm so glad we're getting to do the show. We've tried a couple of times, and either my weather or your weather, something's happened. So I'm glad we're getting it today for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It worked out good.
It did, man. So Cody and I met in Amarillo at the World Finals for the USTPA a few months ago, along with Equus Television Network was there too, and just hit it off. And I just love what Cody's doing for the association, and couldn't wait to have him on the show and talk a little bit about it. So thanks again and welcome.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Like I said, it was great to meet you down there in Amarillo. You know, we had a lot going on there at our World Finals, and there's just a lot going on, right, with inside the Western sports world and team penning and ranch sorting specifically. We've got a lot of things in motion, and it's all very exciting, and so looking forward to sharing some of that.
I love it, man. So before we get too far into this deal, so people want to follow USTPA, what is the best way for them to start following it, or they can start looking at some things as we're talking?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, our social media, you know, whether it's, you know, United States Team Penning Association on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We have a great following there as well. And then just at USTPA.com, there's just a load of information and wealth of knowledge about our sport and what we've got going on. So those areas, you know, are great places to go for resources if you want to try to get into this sport and follow it a little bit closer.
Love it, man. I love how Equus Television is there too on some of the bigger events, and they're there and showing it live so you can watch it.
Yeah, they do a fantastic job. I mean, they have just been so great to work with, and one of the biggest, wins for us with them is the ability to go back and rewatch certain things. You know, sometimes with some of those live feeds, whether through Facebook and things, there's some challenges, and Equus Television with their platform and the ability to kind of build a library has just been phenomenal. You know, not just for our riders and current members, but for people that are new to the sport to be able to go back and watch some of these intense championship rounds take place all right there through Equus Television.
Yeah, it puts you right down in the arena for sure. I love it. So let's talk about you, and then we'll jump back to the association. So where are you from, and how'd you grow up? Did you grow up around the sport of team sorting and team penning?
You know, I kind of have a little bit of a different path to the sport of team penning, if you will. But I grew up in a rodeo bull riding family west of Denver in the mountains of Colorado. And my dad was a bull rider. My uncle's a bull rider. And so been around Western sports my entire life and love everything about it, you know, and just what it represents as our demographic and everything else. But, I've always been around horses and, had horses at the ranch, that sort of thing. Found myself in an opportunity to start announcing some rodeos and some team penning and ranch sorting events. And that's how I got kind of in touch with the USTPA and just fell in love with the sport and the people. You know, the people within inside this sport are just fantastic. And it's one of those Western sports disciplines that I think has not even come close to scratching the surface or hitting a ceiling, if you will. Just from a spectator standpoint, an excitement standpoint, and then the path to get involved with it. You know, all those areas are at the highest of levels when it comes to Western sports. And so we are just getting this ball rolling.
I love that, man. I agree with you 100%. I love the sport and everything it stands for sure. And the Western industry, though, you know, we just were both in Vegas for a lot of days for each of us total for sure. And the sport's growing, the Western sport's growing, and people want to be in the industry, even if they're not riding horses yet. They want to be around it. I think it's the people and the animals and just the environment.
It really is, you know, and I mean, like I said, been going to the NFR and different occasions, you know, my whole life. And I mean, there was an energy this time about it that was a little bit different, you know, and I'm also a PRCA announcer, so for Pro Rodeo, and our guest speaker at the State of the Union, if you will, for the PRCA was Taylor Sheridan from Yellowstone, and really had a great message that I think can just really resonate. And it goes to show you kind of where this kind of grassroots effort has come from, and whether or not you're a fan of the show Yellowstone and some of the Hollywood drama that's in there. But at the end of the day, they incorporate a lot of real life Western sports, whether it's from cutting, the bareback riding, and different reining and that sort of thing, and then tie that all in. And it's been a huge plus for us, and you could feel it there in Las Vegas. So whether you're there for the rodeo or, heck, the fashion industry with inside the Western world, lots of different avenues for you to participate and build a successful career.
I love it, man. There were so many people buying their first hat and their first boots. And,
yeah.
And the autograph signings, man, the lines were so long, people just wanting to get close to people that do this sport. So it was really fun to see as well, to see the athletes get that support.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They are definitely at the peak of their dominance in a sense, and especially a few of them specifically, like a Stetson Wright or whoever the case may be. But yeah, no, it was really great to see. And like you said, you mentioned it, right? Like watching these people buy a cowboy hat for their first time. Yeah, so
love it.
Whether they're wearing it the right way or not, I don't care. That's the ultimate goal, is to have more people wearing cowboy hats and more people owning horses and taking care of horses at the end of the day. So.
Absolutely. And I think that's why the association is so important, because it's a way for people to get involved and to start watching it and then maybe get their first horse and go to the clinic. So it's a great on-ramp for people to get in the industry. And that's what we have to have anyway, first off. And second, it's a great opportunity to capture that.
Yeah, it is. And I could go through 100 different members of our association that basically, and similarly, exactly what you're referring to, but ultimately the sport of team pinning and ranch sorting specifically, at the highest level, it is extremely difficult. The horsepower, the horsemanship is as good as it gets. But the fortunate thing that we have is we do have a rating system. It's an 8-scale rating system that allows people to come in at a beginner level, if you will, and compete right away against other beginners. And so, they're in the same stage, the same arenas as these top tier riders. They have the ability to not only, interact with these top tier riders, but then there's certain classes that kind of correlate with each other that allows them to ride with these top riders. So you're seeing these folks come in, maybe not have the most experience in the world, whether it's from, they're new to horses, or maybe they're new to competition. But then the ability in this platform that we've created has gotten a chance for them to grow immensely in both of those areas. So whether, we got some folks that are, champion wrestlers, D1 NCAA wrestlers that, had that competitive itch and wanted to get it scratched, and they are highly competitive now in the sports of team pinning. There's numerous, past athletes like that are now with inside the team pinning world. Or there's, some folks that might be, business owners, maybe a little bit, up there in a few years or whatnot, but they want to, work with their family, with their sons and daughters, granddaughters, grandsons. And this gives you a great opportunity to have a great family weekend and not only have fun together, but also compete and hopefully win together.
Yeah, I love that, man. It is a family sport for sure. And it's a friendship sport. And as you accelerate up to the higher levels, it is competitive, but everybody helps each other.
Yeah, it's the ultimate team sport, hence the word team thing, but it's, the ability, you're communicating with each other inside the arena. You're going down the road together or meeting up with each other, and you're teaming up with each other, in certain events, they call them blocks, if you will, with your traveling partners. But the other thing, that's obviously a great thing to be able to travel with your friends and your partners and your family, but we also have draws too, which what that does is it allows you to, maybe you're new to the sport, you have the opportunity then through a draw system with each class to ride with a random draw. And so that gives you the opportunity to meet new friends, meet new people, and ride with some of those top tier riders that you might not have known. So if you didn't go to a clinic or something like that, here you are, you have a chance to actually compete with them and work with them in the arena.
And that's a lot of fun. I used to do the draw just because it was a great way to meet people and it was a lot of fun for sure. So can we explain the difference in sorting and pinning? Because maybe someone hadn't seen it before, where the pinning is 3 and the sorting is 2 horses.
Yeah, you're right. And so they're almost like cousins in a way, right? They're very similar but different.
Right.
So, most of our events are 3 days long on average, and we'll team pin for the first 2 days and then ranch sort for the third day. And so team pinning, you've got 30 head of cattle that are going to enter the arena, and each cow is tagged and numbered. And so there'll be 3 1s, 3 2s, 3 3s, 3 4s, and so forth. But like I said, you have 3 folks on horseback, and they're entering in on the other end of the arena. And then the announcer, once you cross that foul line, will call out a number. And so if he calls out cattle number 3, it is your job as a team to go in and grab all 3 of the 3s with inside that herd, and then bring them back down to the other end of the arena, where there's about a 12 by 16 foot pin, and get those 3 head of cattle pinned as quickly as possible. And so when you're comparing this to like a 90-point ride in bull riding or whatnot, you're going to have some teams that get it done in 25 seconds. And just to give you an idea of just how fast and how good some of these top tier riders are. But that's really essentially the breakdown of team pinning. And then when you look at the correlation between ranch sorting and the differences there, the arena is different, right? In team pinning, it's a bigger open arena. In ranch sorting, they're going to condense that down a little bit, and you're going to have a 50-foot diameter pin that you're going to have 10, or what we actually have 12 head of cattle in there, just so you know. There's 0 through 9, so 10 cows that are numbered, and then 2 that are blanks. But then when that announcer does the same process of calling out a number, says he calls out number 1, it is your job then to pull out the first cow number 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, all the way down until 0. And the first one to get all 10 of those across in the appropriate order, then they're the winning team. So very, very exciting when you're talking about speed and on a time and under a clock, and especially when you start getting into rounds 3, 4, 5, that sort of thing, it gets real competitive real quick.
Yeah, I love it, man. Thanks for explaining that for people, because maybe they don't know, but all of that is used on the ranch. If somebody is watching Yellowstone, you see them working cattle and they're separating them out and pushing them to the side. That's all a part of being in the ranch life. So it's a great way for someone that maybe didn't grow up on a ranch to get to do that kind of deal, work with cattle and horses. And it's a team sport too, man. I love the communication between the riders and the horses when they're working these cows. Yeah,
no, there really is. They, especially like I said, in the ranch sorting too, specifically because you're in a closer, environment essentially, and there's only you and another person. So a lot of communication going on there, and then a lot of communication going into the herd, or going into the arena. There's different strategies on how to approach a herd. You'll see when you start to gain some of this experience, the cows are different from event to event, and some of them might be cattier or more likely to blow out is what they call it, because you got to keep the cows all on one end of the arena. If they cross that foul line, that is a no time. So, yeah, there's a lot of strategy that goes into it, which just makes it that much more fun.
Sure.
I mean, not only out there and working and your horse and your high level horsemanship, but you're bringing in a lot of gamemanship as well.
Love it, man. I love it. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about how people can get involved in the sport. I know there's a lot of good clinics around and a lot of good teachers. And we were talking about there's one in Southern California. And I'd love to talk a little bit more about that and get people involved and get them to their first clinic.
Perfect. Sounds good.
All right. We'll be right back on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show with Cody Wood.
Scott will be right back with more.
Hi, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups, any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chaps. So you know that this is a quality product. and we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hello, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I want to tell you about a product I've tried and I love, and I feel the Cowboy Entrepreneur audience will as well. It's Rebellious Infusions. Rebellious Infusions, they're little packets of flavor. And you know, it gets hot in South Texas, over 100 degrees every day. And I like my water, but it's water. So I use these infusions, put them in my water. It makes it cold. It's great flavor, 0 sugar, 0 calories. It's pure energy infusions. Rebellious Infusions. Go to drinkrebellious.com or on all social media platforms. Drink Rebellious. Welcome back to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen, with Cody Wood, Executive Director of the United States Team Pinning Association. So Cody, let's talk a little bit about how people can get involved in the sport. Maybe they've never had a horse before, or maybe they have one and they want to go to an event. How would someone get involved with a clinic or with a certain trainer?
Yeah, definitely. And so, kind of like we had chatted earlier, on whether it's through social media or our website, honestly, I would love the opportunity to speak with anybody that had questions and would like, direction on where to go. Because, we've got trainers and events throughout the entire country, North America. We even have a lot in Italy and Venezuela and in South America. So essentially the best way to go about it is to find a trainer or a clinic that might be going on. And we have got our calendar slated with a lot of different clinics throughout 2023. That might be in your area. So that's obviously a great way to get started. You meet people, you get to learn hands-on right off the bat. Mm-hmm. So any sort of clinic you can get to is highly, desirable and a great way to get things started. However, like I said, we chatted about it a little bit. This is an event that if you do have, a horse or whatnot, you can come to any one of our events, get to know some people and enter the 3 class, if you will, so there is that path and you get you started and get you starting to, meet people, but you're riding with folks that either are at your same level and if anything, maybe a little bit higher level, but very, very similar, so in the 3, just so you can understand a little bit, when we have a rating system that is essentially an N or a 0 all the way up to a 7. And so in a 3 class, you can't have somebody that adds up above a 3. So you might have like a 1 and a 2 and a 0, or you might have 3 1s or whatever the case may be. So as you can see, not a lot of separation in ability from one to the other. And so it really makes for a great environment to learn in. But if they're looking to get involved or buy a horse, for example, there is a tremendous amount of great folks out there that are not only going to look to, find a good horse for you that's great for, your level of riding, but more importantly, you as a person and your personality. I mean, these trainers do such a fantastic job of matching a rider with an equestrian athlete. So if anybody out there is interested, feel free to reach out to me anytime or any of the social medias, and we will definitely get you pointed in the right direction.
I love that, man. And they really care, because you're going to be out there with them. And sometimes it's fun in a higher class. You might see a trainer and somebody getting trained by this guy riding together. And I think that's fun to see.
Yeah.
Sure. And plus, there's no division, I don't believe, right, between male and female. They're out there together.
No, absolutely. So we had 8. Yeah, so we had 8 year-end world champions this last year. 5 of them were women. And I am so proud of that fact and so proud of these ladies, honestly, for their toughness and grit getting down the road all year long. And what a great way to finish off the year. We had, like I said, 5 of the 8 were women, and then 5 of the 8 were from east of the Mississippi. which I also think is a great,
Isn't that something?
view. Yeah, just a view in a way that goes to show you where the sport is growing and what direction it's headed.
That's so interesting. So what do you see the makeup of the association? Is it primarily, over 50% women now? Is it changing that dynamic, or is it about split?
50-50. Yeah, it's about 50-50. And as you get into the younger ages, that it probably leans heavier towards the ladies. We have got one of the things, speaking of things that I'm proud of, our youth inside our sport is probably the thing I might be the most proud of when I'm talking about, being a part of this organization and being a representative of it. We have got some young riders that have just over the last few years doing a lot of what we just talked about, riding with some of these other folks and being dedicated and committed to their sport, are just phenomenal.
Right.
We've had one individual that she was the number 6 world champion this last year. So when you're talking about, 7 being the highest, she's one from the very top. And, she won it by, a massive margin. And she graduated high school here in May and is a freshman at Texas A&M University. And she's just one of many, and her and our biggest class of the year, biggest event of the year. There's 3 people on a team. 2 of them were in high school. Both of them happened to be ladies, and they collected a check for over $42,000 with their partner. And so that was also great to see as well.
I love that. And I'm so glad you brought that up. The purse money is so strong, and it really helps everybody get down the road. But it also, like you're saying about those 2 ladies, it helps with school and everything else. There's so much as far as a benefit to being a part of the association.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, especially within the youth, right? If you, I don't know. I mean, I've been around youth rodeo and different things my whole life. And this is about as solid of an organization you're going to find for young athletes to not only, be around very successful, individuals in general, but the ability to grow and build some scholarship funds and go into college, without owing anything in a lot of cases. So
right. That's awesome, man. Yeah, there's a ton of character in those kids, man, for sure.
Yeah.
But they learn it from the people around them, from the adults. They see the way the adults handle themselves, and it just trickles down.
They do. And then we, they have to interact as well. They have to go to work and at these different events, they do some different fundraisers. They are massively helpful just from a hands-on perspective and whatnot, which is awfully nice. And then, kudos obviously to their parents for getting them down the road, and also to the other members that might not have kids. At any turn in the road, any opportunity, our membership will do anything and everything they can to help any one of these youngsters. And so that's also extremely helpful. And we've got some great events at our world finals, and, hope, that are based around the youth, and hope that maybe this next year you'd be able to come down and take a look at some of that as well.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. Let's talk about the World Finals, because I was there for just a quick period one day, but it's so much more than that. It's a several-day deal, and bands and bull riding, and it's an event.
Yeah, it really is. And that's, all by design, and there's a method to the madness in every aspect. But so, yeah, like I said, it's 7 days long, so it is not just in and out, 7 days long. $100,000 added, over $600,000 in cash and prizes were paid out. But, like I said, a couple of key notes to take away from it is, we had over 10 individuals from Italy, that were a part of the World Finals, so just to kind of show you how globally this sport is. And so it was awesome to have them there. Going right back to our youth, we had one individual that has just been extremely dedicated, in Tanner Chapelier, that was a 3-timer, won 3 different classes. And I'm not talking, small classes, big, adult classes, if you will. The young man's only 12 years old and has got a big time, bright future, and was probably one of the biggest money winners of the week, with walking out of there with 3 gold buckles as well. So that was a huge highlight. And like I said, we also have incorporated bull riding and some other Western sport disciplines at some of our events, and it's been extremely helpful and successful in a couple different ways. Now, you might see, why does bull riding and team pinning have anything to do with each other? Well, I'll tell you, from a production standpoint, it's a very smooth flow, if you will, from one to the other. A little bit of an arena change, but they do work very well together from a production standpoint. And bull riding is, obviously it's the biggest draw attendance wise. I mean, the PBR itself is probably the biggest thing in all of Western sports, so utilizing bull riding to bring people into the stands. And we had, close to 2,000 people in the stands, and that energy just increases. And a lot of these folks have never seen team pinning before, so they come to watch a bull riding and then have the extra benefit of getting to watch one of the greatest Western sports in the world in team pinning. And it's awesome to watch when you look at the crowd and the bull riding, performance might be over and the team pinning starts and these 30 cows start coming into the arena. You see the people kind of perk up in their seat, kind of go to the edge of their seat and be like, what is going on here? And so that's been a big benefit. It's also given us the opportunity to work with the Cowboy channel. And so gave us that kind of foot in the door, if you will, by having a bull riding performance with the team pinning to bridge that gap. And now the team pinning content has showed out so well that you'll see, the USTPA on every Cowboy channel app live performance as well. And so that's been huge. And so just the additional coverage is going to do nothing but great things for the growth of the sport.
Absolutely. I love the lounge too, man. You had it, I guess it was up on a trailer. I don't know how you set it up on a stage, and you have a big couch and TVs and
yeah.
laying up there and watching and horses riding by. And that was
it was so fun. It was, yeah. So having that VIP area, one, it just is nice for the riders. We, serve breakfast every morning or whatnot, if you will. But no, and then it gives, we have there's 4 flat screens. And so they literally could sit there, watch the team pinning as it's happening, watch the replay on a different screen. And then a different screen had, Equus television playing, and we were playing some past events throughout the years. So no matter what you were looking for, you had plenty of action right there inside that VIP area. And then on Saturday, the last day of the finals, we cleared that stage off and had a great party, to finish things off with Seth Ward and the Silence, a great up and coming country music artist there in North Texas. And so it was used in multiple facets throughout the 7 days. And I had a great concert to finish things off with it on that stage.
I love it, man. So how did people qualify for the world? Do they start off with some clinics? Do they start riding locally, I guess, or more regionally, and then they advance up? Is that the way the progression?
So the way that it's built is very user friendly in that sense, right? So if you look at like the NFR, right, and PRCA Pro Rodeo, you got to be the top 15 in the world. Here, you just have to qualify by going, essentially. And so the requirement is that you go to at least 3 shows a year, and then between those 3 shows, at least ride 24 times. So essentially 8 times a weekend at those 3 shows, if that's what you happen to go to. So you have the opportunity to go to your regional finals, which tends to have a tremendous amount of money at those regional finals, and then also obviously at the world finals. So it's very user friendly in that regard. And a lot of people, what they do is they, have the goal of I'm going to go out and make sure at a bare minimum to get qualified for the regional finals or the world finals. And then they take a big family trip and make a week of it, but that's how you get qualified. Just 3 shows, 24 rides, and you could be right there riding for the big money in Amarillo under the bright lights and having a great time doing it.
I love that, man. And y'all do so much for everybody that's there as well, because not only the VIP lounge and the money and the buckles and the excitement, but y'all were having Halloween events for the kids, and there's food. There's so much extra you do to make the participants feel special. And the spouses maybe who aren't riding, they feel a part of the event.
Yeah, it's very family oriented, without question. I mean, there are kids running around everywhere, and a lot of them are, like I said, are husbands and wives and kids and grandparents, and they're all competing with each other, and we do love that. And the Halloween Spooktacular piece, that's something that we've done 2 years now and had a great trunk or treat, and have worked with West Texas A&M University to help, put that on. And this last year, working with the Amarillo Independent School District, was able to have a couple different first grade classes come through, and we had field trips there at our world finals. And, like I said, there's a method to the madness and a trickle effect that hopefully will resonate forever. Those young kids, for example, on that field trip, a lot of our top riders brought their horses over, let them, interact with those horses. We walked them through the whole facility, explained the sport, and They just loved it. When you have the ability to be around team pinning and watch it firsthand, fully start to grasp, what it is and how you can participate in it, people just tend to love it. And then once you get started in it, I'll tell you, like I said, I didn't grow up in team pinning. I grew up in a bull riding family, and the handful of times that I have team pinned or ranch sorted, it is an adrenaline rush that I did not expect. I mean, you really get your motor running and, to kind of get that shot of life in you, if you will. And it's addicting that you want to do it again.
Yeah, my family's eat up with it. Yeah, man, it's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the special events y'all do at different rodeos, some of the larger rodeos like San Antonio, and how many people are watching it. And that's what's exciting as well. It's something a little bit different, but it's within the realm.
Yeah, for sure. And so those opportunities, are not easy to come by, but they are huge benefits to the sport, to the association, to be able to work with somebody, like I said, an example of San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo, one of the greatest rodeos in all the world. And to have the opportunity to highlight the sport, work together with their facility and committee and everything is great, because that, again, goes exactly right to what we were just talking about. It puts eyes on the sport that might not have ever seen it before. And until you see it and really get a chance to fully understand it, that's when the light bulb goes off. That's when, the process starts at, well, how do I get into this, so I'm really looking forward to being a part of the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. We've been there in the past for many years, and we were gone for a little while, and so now we're back, and it is going to be a fantastic week there in San Antonio.
It's fun to see the people like at the San Antonio Rodeo and other places like that maybe have never seen the sport, and they're in there hooting and hollering, and they don't know what for really until they start really watching it and they start understanding it, and they just kind of buy into it. Yeah, and that's the fun part.
It really is, because at the end of the day, the sport itself, and whether this is the perfect analogy or not, it does kind of allow you to understand, it's almost like a cutting in a horse race format. I mean, you're out there doing a lot of the same agility, the same horsemanship as you would find in a cutting event at some level. But then the ability to turn that cow back and run him down the fence line and bring him back to the pin. And like I said, you're talking 20, 25 seconds, 30 seconds. That is really moving when you take in exactly what they have to accomplish. And so, it's exciting in those areas. And San Antonio is just one piece of the puzzle throughout the 2023 season for us to help grow this sport. And we got other events and big rodeos that we'll be a part of. And we're really looking forward to carrying over the success from 2022 into 2023.
I love it, Cody. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we're going to find out about some of the sponsors, some of the partners behind helping the association grow, and find out a little bit more about what's coming on 2023, and maybe hear a bull riding story. We'll be right back on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show.
Thank you for listening to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. Scott will be right back with more. For more information on Scott Knudsen, the Cowboy Entrepreneur, visit us online at cowboyentrepreneur.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups, any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chaps. So you know that this is a quality product. And we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hello, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I want to tell you about a product I've tried and I love, and I feel the Cowboy Entrepreneur audience will as well. It's Rebellious Infusions. Rebellious Infusions, they're little packets of flavor. And you know, it gets hot in South Texas, over 100 degrees every day. And I like my water, but it's water. So I use these infusions, put them in my water. It makes it cold. It's great flavor, 0 sugar, 0 calories. It's pure energy infusions. Rebellious Infusions. Go to drinkrebellious.com or on all social media platforms. Drink Rebellious. Hi, welcome back to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen, here with the Executive Director of the United States Team Pinning Association, Cody Wood. So, Cody, let's talk some about the partners, the great partners of the association that are helping it expand globally.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to talk about our partners any chance I get, and we've got some great ones, you know, and quite a bit of them. But, you know, we've got folks like a Rayco Builders, who happens to be one of our members, but has a awesome business that, you know, general contractor there that works nationally. Cubit Hay Company, you know, obviously goes hand in hand with all the horses and cattle we work with, but they deliver across the country. Visit Cheyenne. You know, if you guys are looking for any sort of vacation, you want a Western experience, come visit Cheyenne in the state of Wyoming. And so thank you to them. Elite Equine is another great one that we work with, one of the top performance supplements for horses going right now that's new to the U.S. You know, it was over in South Africa and the U.K. And then folks at Boot Barn, right? You know, so Boot Barn is probably, you know, that's our big staple, if you will. And you got to really give credit to them and support them whenever you can, because a lot of people don't know this, but they've supported over 600 different Western sports events throughout 1 year period. You know, so when you're talking about an organization and a business that is truly giving back to its customers and its demographic, you know, Boot Barn is definitely not only a big supporter of the USTPA, but Western sports as a whole. And, you know, so you can't, you know, thank them enough. But, and then there's just other, you know, Equus Television. I mean, just fantastic people. Love what they're bringing to the table, not just here in the USTPA, but for the equestrian sports world in general. And the list goes on. And I can't thank them all enough for what they've done to, you know, help further our cause and grow this sport.
Well, and so how do other partners get involved? Maybe they're watching the show or listening to us on KCAA and they're like, we want to become a part of this. We want to help. We want to partner out. How do they do that?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. I mean, honestly, I would be that point of contact, you know. So Cody, CODY at USTPA.com is my email. But you're right. I mean, just to give you a quick example, I mean, our viewership, not including Equus and Cowboy Channel, this is just our grassroots effort, is up 130%. We had 1.2 million views this last year. The World Finals alone almost had 250,000 views. And again, with the ability for us to, you know, the viewership coming in through Equus, through Cowboy Channel, through Facebook, YouTube, a lot of different ways to get this brand in front of other customers. And so, you know, not only do you have the banner in the arena and things like that you'd have at any Western sports event, but our live feed is second to none when you're talking about other Western sports. And obviously, you know, take the PBR and the PRCA out of the equation, but I would challenge any other Western sport and their quality of live feed with ours. And I think we'll be right there with them. And it gives us a great platform to promote these partners, really drive sales, and create brand awareness for each one of them.
I love that, man. And you know, the people in the industry that are part of the association, they're gonna work with those partners. They're gonna support those partners for helping them, and with all the scholarship, everything with the kids too. That's just a big deal.
It really is. And you're right. That's that right there in itself. I mean, our demographic as Cowboys or Western sports folks, however you want to describe us, we are as loyal as they get. You know, I'll give you a prime example. I haven't bought anything but Cooper tires for for the last 15 years. So I mean, that's just myself personally, and subconsciously, I will not go buy anything else besides a Cooper tire because of what they have brought to the sport of bull riding, the sport of rodeo, and you see that resonate. Rayco Builders, for example, had a great sale this last week and was told that it was generated based off of those views and watching our live feed. And so I'm super proud of that. And yeah, so thank you to all of our partners and anybody, whether you support the USTPA. If you are supporting anything in Western sports, thank you for what you've done, and we need it.
Well said, man, from both of us, man. It's so important that they do that, and we try and give back to the partners for sure. But it's our lifestyle, It's what we want to pass to the next generation, and those partners help us do that. So they're really special to us. So what's on task for 2023? Because y'all are growing, like you say, with such big numbers, triple digit, which is incredible.
Yeah.
What's on tap?
We've got a lot in store. Like I said, we talked about San Antonio a little bit, but we also are going to be in Madison, Wisconsin at the Midwest Horse Fair, which is a fantastic event itself. There's thousands and thousands of people roll through there. And the Days of 47 rodeo in Salt Lake City, Utah is one of the fastest growing PRCA rodeos in the world with an Olympic style format. And so we're going to bring a slightly different format of team penning there as well. And that is slated to be a huge event for us in 2023. And then our elite finals. We kind of alluded to it earlier where those two young high school girls were part of the three-man team that won over 42,000. Well, this year that went from 75,000 added in 2022 is now going to be 100,000 added in 2023. And we are set up for a big-time weekend the last weekend of April in West Monroe, Louisiana for that. And so that's our next big staple, if you will. And so that's just exciting in itself. But ultimately, what this is right now and the growth that we're having is creating, more producers. There's so many more people getting involved around the country that now you're starting to see these people call in, like, how do we put one on, and then that's our job is to help facilitate that and educate them on the best way to go about it and get them inside the team penning fold, if you will. So
I'm so glad you brought that up. So how do people get involved? Say if somebody's wants to have a association event.
Yeah.
They just call you, and how did they set that up? Because there's certain rules and regulations that go with that.
There make it perfect. But we make it as easy as possible. Right. It's really pretty straightforward. And so if you wanted to put an event on, team penning, ranch sorting, whatever the case may be, there's a couple of different requirements that you have, because there's certain classes that we need to make sure that are involved just to make sure everything's considered equal across the board from, West Coast to East Coast. But ultimately, we do have some sanctioning fees. It's additional $5 in some classes on your entry fees and a little bit higher in one class. But all that money goes back to the riders themselves. A little bit will go into running the association. But like, just to give you an example, $1 of the $5 is actually going to the association. The other $4 is going back to the riders, whether it's at the world finals, the regional finals, whatever the case may be. So that sanctioning fee is diluted throughout all the members, so we're a 501c5 organization. We are a nonprofit membership owned organization. I'm the only actual employee. And so there's pros and cons to everything, but a huge pro in that is that the fees that you're paying, the sanctioning fees that you're paying are 100% for the most part going back to the riders. And so if you wanted to get something started, it's just a quick call to me and our sanctioning committee and getting that ball rolling.
I love that. And, maybe somebody doesn't want to jump in and start riding, but they want to put on an event or maybe supply cattle or, and I love that. There's other opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. And they can make some money too. I mean, a lot of some of these guys are doing very well for themselves, if they put on a successful event.
I love that, man. So we just jumped right into the association because we both love the sport so much. But let's talk a little bit more about you because I think it's important for people to know you. And we knew you grew up in a bull riding family. Tell us a story, man. You remember your first bull riding?
I do, actually. Yeah. I mean, I kind of had a unique experience for my first bull ride. Really, I was 9 years old, and I said my dad was a bull rider for a long time. He's a gold card member in the PRCA and whatnot. But my first bull ride actually happened to be in a Roper commercial. So if you remember, Roper shirts and stuff were really big back in 1990. And
back in the
so I
day.
actually got paid $50 a check, but I had to get on the bull twice because I didn't make it long enough between the two. But it was a cool opportunity, because not only was I, riding under bright lights in a commercial, the adults that were there were some of my lifelong heroes, and they were riding bulls. And so you want to talk about a 9-year-old thinking that they were a superstar. I mean, I was feeling pretty good about myself. But, the bull riding world has grown and has been a huge contributor to the entire Western sports platform, as far as introducing our way of life to people in, like, say, New York City or Los Angeles that might not have been exposed to it. Bull riding has been a great conduit for that. And, but I also grew up, my grandfather raised race horses and was a very business-minded individual. And so kind of a unique background, if you will, where I had a bull rider for a father and a businessman for a grandfather. And I got a little bit of both in me, if you will.
Well, that helps the association for sure to see the different avenues. Golly.
Yeah, it has. It's definitely, been a unique experience and bridges both gaps on both sides. And I absolutely love the business side of things. And like I said, at the end of the day, what a great opportunity I've been given to help the possibility of creating more horse owners, more individuals buying cowboy hats, like you were saying. And so obviously the goal is to grow the association. There's a lot of business aspects that need to be taken in consideration. But at the end of the day, you can drill it down to the simplest of forms. How many horse owners have we created, and how many more cowboy hat owners have we created?
I love it, man. I love that statement, because that's right. It funnels and it spins that wheel, the Western world wheel, with hats and boots and belts and trailers and trucks and Cooper tires.
Yeah, there you go. And it is, I mean, I've joked around with people that aren't from our world before, and they've asked me certain questions. And I told them, I was like, as soon as my kids and my dog are out of the house, if this house is burning down, the next thing I'm grabbing is my cowboy hat, and so, maybe that might be not completely true. I'm sure in the moment, it might be something else, but it does go to show you though, like, when you're talking to some of these folks and whether they're familiar with our background and the way we, operate and our way of life, it sure is special. And there's a lot that we should be proud of.
Absolutely. That's absolutely. Well, let's talk about the horses too. That's one thing we haven't talked a lot about is the horses. That's so vital to the sport.
Yeah, you're right.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Like where they come from? I know the majority is probably quarter horse.
Yeah, a lot of quarter horses. A lot of them are from the cutting world, but we've got a tremendous amount of trainers like we were chatting about. But yeah, these horses, I mean, it's like, a lot of them are like walking a Ferrari into these arenas. I mean, it's not going to necessarily be a monster truck or a NASCAR car even, really. We're talking more, this is going to be like your Indy sports car. These things cut on a dime and are as athletic as they come. And they're very cowy. They have the ability to read cattle. So when you're starting to really separate these horses from their athleticism, you start to see some of them that just have the ability to know what that distance is from the cow, how to, angle or pursue. And obviously the rider has a lot to do with that as well. But yeah, the horses are amazing. And this last year we had some great representatives in our Texas Hay Net Performance Horse of the Year. And going back to our youth and the ladies, right? Our number one horse of the year was a horse called Joker from LS Performance Horses, owned by a young lady, 12-year-old Callie Sajoni, who was the junior youth world champion. And so, just couldn't be more proud of the horses, the youth, and all of those aspects.
And man, I love that. And to start, as you're starting, you don't have to have that ramrod horse.
Correct.
You just get in and start riding that horse and work your way up. But when you're riding that horse and y'all have that bond and you're working the cattle the same way, like you're saying, they know what their job is. There's a special relationship and a bond that is just incredible.
There is. And that's what's so nice too. Like I said, if you just get to an event, get the process started of getting to know some of these folks and starting to get some experience under your belt, as you grow as a rider, you're going to get to a point where you need a little bit more horse, and then like I said, there's a lot of great individuals that'll kind of help, streamline that process to get you that right equestrian athlete that's just right for you, not necessarily even from an ability standpoint, but how are you going to fit from a personality standpoint? They are such a big aspect of our sport. And I was just thrilled to be able to highlight them all year long. Performance Horse of the Month to a Performance Horse of the Year, Performance Horse of the Finals, as they are 50% of what we do. We couldn't do this without them.
Absolutely. And I love how you highlight them. I think it's so important because they are the athlete in the arena as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time.
Man, it's so much fun. Well, man, Cody, I appreciate you so much for being on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. Would you mind giving the social media handles links one more time just so everybody can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you can find us just about anywhere, right? So United States Team Pinning Association, Facebook, Instagram, have done a lot with TikTok as of late. That's been a lot of fun. So those 3 areas. And then on YouTube, it's been great if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because in that way you're always going to get the notification for when we have a live event. So those 3 areas from a social media standpoint. And then just ustpa.com has got a wealth of knowledge. A great resource would be is to go to your regional directors, because not only myself, I'm more than happy to communicate with anybody, but we have 10 different regions and 2 regional directors inside each region, so that they can really give you a hands-on experience of helping you get down to your first event, if you will. So a lot of different resources there to reach out to.
I love it, man. As big as the association is globally, there's still that one-on-one contact, and you have it set up so someone can get an answer quick. And
it's super helpful.
Personal touch is so important,
It really is. And these regional directors, it's not like they're not getting paid to do anything. They're there because they love it and they want to grow this sport, and it matters to them. And so when somebody reaches out to them, they are extremely helpful. And a lot of times they might either be, some of the top riders in the area, and so you can learn from them. And some of them aren't necessarily. They just love, so it's a great group of people that I get a chance to work with.
Well, I love it, man. Thanks so much. Well, Cody, thank you again for being on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. And please share the show and spread the word about United States Team Pinning Association. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Cowboy Entrepreneur. Thank you all for watching and listening to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you to all the great sponsors of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. If you or your business is interested in being a sponsor of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, please call our office at 830-992-1786 or visit our website, cowboyentrepreneur.com.
Now you can listen to KCAA